Hey Vision Chasers, it's Dr. Bird here. Today I'm going to give you a foundational lesson on the Immigration Act of 1965. Now you may have noticed that immigration has been a hugely debated topic in the United States over the past couple, 3-4 years, however far along it goes back. And so I'm going to give you some foundational information about it. But before I do that, I want to remind you of this. This channel is primarily to encourage, inspire, motivate, equip middle, high school students and beyond with the things that they need to chase their vision of success. Now, also because I'm a former history teacher and I love history, I also throw some history out there for you as well. Now, as it relates to divisive things, as with all things, I want to remind you that you need to make up your own mind. I do not give you my opinion in any of these videos. You make up your own mind. That's what I want you to do. So let's say you're in a room of 100, you're one of 100 people in a room and 99 people feel a certain way. And you've got some questions in your mind about it. Well, it's imperative that you stand up and say, hey, wait a second, would you bring me the facts? Help me to understand how you arrived at that opinion, because I may agree with you, but I'm just not sure. That's not disrespectful. That's actually brave. And that doesn't hurt anyone. That's just a brave thing to do. And we need more of that in this country. We need more people standing up and just saying, hey, wait a second, I just have some questions before I make up my mind. So don't let anyone try to make up your mind for you. Don't let celebrities, don't let friends and family do it, although you may love them, but don't let friends and family, don't let athletes, don't let anyone make up your brilliant mind for you. Go seek out the facts and then kick it around in your brilliant mind, and then you come to your own conclusion based on the facts. Now, YouTube channels such as this, little videos such as this, that's a nice place to start. But please, as it relates to the Immigration Act of 1965, don't let this be the end of your research. Please go do some more research in order to, come to your own conclusion. Okay, so I hope I've pleased people on the left side of this issue, and I hope I've pleased people on the right side of this issue, because what I want to do is I just want to give out the facts and then entice you to go find some more information to make up your own mind. So, okay, here we go. I think I did a good job of that. So let's talk about the Immigration Act of 1965. On your screen, you see a picture from October of 1965, October 3rd to be exact. Lyndon Johnson is actually signing the Immigration Act of 1965. And this is a proud moment for the president, as you see the Statue of Liberty in the picture as well. Let me read to you a quote that Lyndon Johnson said shortly before he signed this bill. He said this, he said, "Today, with my signature, this system is abolished." And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that system in a moment. He goes on to say, "We can now believe that it will never again shadow the gate to the American nation with the twin barriers of prejudice and privilege. Our beautiful America was built by a nation of strangers from 100 different places or more. They have poured forth into an empty land, joining and blending in one mighty, irresistible tide. The land flourished because it was fed from so many sources, because it was nourished by so many cultures and traditions and peoples." The reason why the Immigration Act of 1965 is so important is because many of the disagreements over immigration point back to that very law. So we're going to go back to the signing of another law regarding immigration, and we're going back to 1924, and Calvin Coolidge is president at this time. Now, a quota simply means the number of people that they want immigrating from other countries. So they're going to put a cap on the number of people that can come in from other countries, or should I say certain countries, and we're going to get into that. Now, in 1924, there are a number of social issues going on in the country. The Klan has heavily influenced one of the major political parties in the United States, and that party is the Democrat Party. Additionally, people who were seen as unintelligent or sick were stripped of their ability to have children. The Supreme Court would actually legalize the sterilization of a person against their will. Throughout the 1920s, racial tension is going to be at an all-time high, while at the same time, Klan membership is growing exponentially. After the experience of World War I, the United States wants to return to isolationism. They don't want anything to do with any of the issues that other countries may have. And so there's going to be an overall fear of immigrants coming into the United States. Under this new immigration law, there's going to be quotas or limits on immigrants coming from certain parts of the world, while other parts of the world are going to be favored. So in short, the quotas were more favorable to immigrants coming from the northern and western part of Europe. Immigrants seeking to come to the United States from the southern and eastern part of Europe would now find it more difficult to enter into the United States as a result of these quotas. Now, the Japanese would also find it difficult to immigrate to the United States as well. So now let's move to 1965. And so you kind of have an idea of what Lyndon Johnson was talking about when he spoke of the negative aspects of the previous immigration laws. And so now he's going to sign this bill into law, and that's going to fix some of those things. So let's dive into this a little bit more. So Lyndon Johnson, when he became president, he pushed a number of reforms known as the Great Society. Now, this is going to be similar to the New Deal, where it's going to give direct aid to the state. So the main issues that he's going to hit on are civil rights, medical care to the poor, and education. So Lyndon Johnson believed that he was doing a wonderful thing in eliminating the old system of immigration that was based on the country you were coming from. This law would also double the amount of immigrants allowed in the United States on a yearly basis. Now let's look at some of the things that they were saying back then in 1965. This is from September 21st, 1965. This article is titled "Kennedy Backs Immigration Bill." Senator Robert F. Kennedy told the Senate today that it was far easier to import an English housemaid into the United States than an Italian doctor or scientist. Now remember, that's due to that quota system that favored one area of Europe over another. He goes on to say, ever since 1924, we have regretted the excesses of that day. Presidents of both parties have deplored the presence in American law of discriminations directly opposed to the assumptions of our Constitution. Now let's hear a little bit from someone who was against this law in 1965, and this is dated March 21st, 1965. And in a letter to the editor, this person says, I agree emphatically with Senator Sam J. Ervin of North Carolina, who declared in the Senate Subcommittee on Immigration that talk about passing the administration's bill to admit more aliens with special skills is just sanctimonious propaganda. He goes on to say, the argument that the proposed change in the immigration laws would benefit this country by augmenting the admission of persons with skills needed here is palpably hollow. In the first place, this nation, with its vast reservoir of skilled persons, has no need of foreign skills so urgent as to justify changes in our laws, especially when it is recalled that the total number of admissible persons of all quota categories is about 150,000 A drop in the bucket. Now, this person would go on to make what would seem to be a compelling argument against the passage of this law. And I just want to read just a little bit for you to consider. He said, the benefit that might accrue to us would be more than offset by the damage to the economies of the countries which would lose such skilled persons. The brain drain from the have-not nations is a matter of serious concern to countries such as India, for example. And I'll stop right there. But again, I think it's important that you take information from both sides and then draw your own conclusion. So I will make these primary sources available to you in the description of this video. You can find links to those. Now, another important concept of this new law is that it is focused on reuniting families by allowing American citizens to bring in close family members without having to jump through a lot of hoops in order to make it happen. Now, present-day opponents of our current immigration system would call this chain migration. So here's how chain migration works in a nutshell. An immigrant comes from another country and they're allowed to bring their immediate family, their spouse and their children, they all come. And after a certain amount of time has passed, the immigrants can attain citizenship. Now, as they attain citizenship, they are allowed to legally petition to have other members of their extended family, including adult members of their extended family, to come into the United States. And the argument is that this chain of immigrants is long and continuous as a result. And it is true that more people than expected took advantage of the opportunity to bring extended family members to the United States. And ultimately what happened was, over time, there were a number of immigrants here in the United States that were legally not supposed to be here. And so in 1986, Congress had to pass an amnesty law, which basically forgave those foreign individuals who were here in the United States without going through the proper process. And that was a Republican president who actually signed that bill forgiving those individuals. 2 years before he signed that bill in 1984, Ronald Reagan said this. He says, "I believe in the idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and lived here, even though sometime back they may have entered illegally." And it's just so interesting because a lot of those things that they were saying back then sounds like the things that are being said now. So it seems, unfortunately, that little has changed. Well, that's it. That's all I'm going to give you. If you want to know more, you're free to go out and find that there's a whole bunch of other resources out there. I have some suggested resources in the description section of this video, so check that out. There's also, if you would like to support this channel and help fund the new and improved Vision Chasers website, please, there's a link to something that you can do to help us make that happen. Truly appreciate your support. Additionally, there's a worksheet that goes along with this video, so I encourage you to download that to further your knowledge of the Immigration Act of 1965. I thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support of the channel. And until we meet again, please keep chasing the vision. Bye.